Welcome to the XL Pro podcast, where every career has a turning point, a decision, a failure, a breakthrough. The moments that don't just shape careers, they define them. Each week, we sit down with founders, executives, and professionals from all walks of life to uncover the real stories behind their journeys. If you're building something, leading a team, or navigating your own path, you're in the right place. I'm Hasib Jangda, and this is the XL Pro podcast. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, like, and follow the podcast so you don't miss the conversations that could change your next move. Let's get into it. Hey. Thanks so much for being here today, Patrick. We're very fortunate to have you and excited to hear your story.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Before we get started, we always love to start with some icebreakers. And let's play two truths and a lie.
Okay. So I have to tell you two things that are true and one lie?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. I am from Oklahoma. I have a dog, a cat, and a lobster. And I have two children named Kate and Thomas.
Okay, so I know the children is correct.
Okay.
No. That's a trick question. Okay.
I was a little sneaky with this
You
one.
do have a lobster. Mm-hmm. You do have a lobster.
That's correct.
I pay attention.
You know my pets.
Yes, especially pets. I know you're from Oklahoma. I'm going to say number 3 is a lie.
Number 2.
I
have a dog and a lobster.
You
I have
do
no
cat
cat
in there. Okay. The streak is broken at 1 or 2.
That's kind of a trick question.
Yeah.
So because you don't have a dog, you don't have a lobster. So
yeah. You snuck that cat in there. Oh man, I'm so mad at myself, but learned something today or reminded myself of something. You're not a cat guy?
Yeah, I like cats.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I've had cats before. I just not currently.
Okay.
My daughter's trying to get me to get a cat, but
do it.
I'm resisting.
If you could get any breed of cat, what would it be?
My son wants me to get a Maine Coon.
The big boys?
Yeah, the big hairy monster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always had tabbies. I wouldn't mind getting an orange cat. I haven't had an orange cat before.
Crazies.
So yeah, get a little bit of personality. One of my buddies in law school had a it was like some kind of like a Bengal cat. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a wild cat, but it was kind of had that lineage, and it was a really cool cat.
Had a lot of personality, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The next question that I have for you, Patrick, is what is the next goal you want to cross off your bucket list?
Probably something travel related. My mom is getting ready to move to France.
Wow.
So I may, and I've never been to France, so I've been to plenty of places in Europe, but maybe go visit France when my mom is out there. That's coming up probably end of this year, like early next year. So
do you know why France? That's such a random.
Yes.
Okay.
She's done a lot of research. So either I think grandmother or great grandmother was born in Ireland. And so she's a very like adventurous spirit person, she's had an RV, she's traveled all over the country, and I think she's kind of done with that now. So she's like, all right, now I've got to go expand out into the rest of the world. And she can get dual citizenship with Ireland because she can trace herself back to her family there. And so once she does that, then she'll be a citizen of the EU. And she can go anywhere.
Okay.
And then once that happens, she chose France just because for elderly folks, they seem to have like the best, medical care or like kind of quality of life if you're retired. So
that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's probably like a benefits, not a very exciting criteria for going off and adventuring around the world, but it's healthcare benefits. Probably.
No, absolutely, and that sounds like a once in a lifetime type of opportunity. So why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So tell the audience a little bit about who is Patrick Canon.
Okay. I am XL Pro's General Counsel. We already established I'm from Oklahoma. I've been down in Dallas since, 2003. And have been working in XL Pro for the past just turned 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so XL Pros General Counsel. Got 2 kids, so if I'm not at work, it's usually doing dad stuff.
Yeah.
Taking care of the kiddos. My daughter is a junior in high school and is getting ready to start her college application journey. So
Wow.
this weekend we're going to go look at some schools, and then my son is rapidly closing in on Eagle Scout and the Boy Scouts. So
Wow.
we do spend a lot of time doing scouting stuff. And
I love it. I love it. How did you get into the law?
so that was something I kind of fell into, maybe a little backwards. My dad is an attorney, and so he actually was a general counsel of an oil and gas company.
I'm sure that helps.
So so I kind of saw that how his kind of career path was. I did during college some like summer internships at the company he worked for, and so I could kind of see just like his day-to-day stuff. And it seemed like a pretty good gig. The specific path, like when I was in high school, actually thinking about this because my daughter's doing it right now, took like an aptitude test at a place actually here in Dallas. I came down from Oklahoma. Law was one of those, psychology and a couple others, kind of analytic type stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was always, seed was kind of planted then, and then I saw my dad doing it. I didn't actually go to college for like an undergraduate, poli-sci or something like that. But once I got out, I was like, man, maybe this is.
How many people told you, oh, you just wanted to go to law school because you think you're great at arguing and you're the best, most loud person in the room?
That's definitely not my personality.
Yeah.
I'm more of the. I enjoy the in-house role, the more transactional side of things. My fear is my daughter is going to be a lawyer because she is that kind of argumentative. And maybe that's just being a 17-year-old girl. I don't know, but my dad would love it. He'd be like, "Oh, 3rd-generation lawyer, let's do it."
Yeah. Or she just really is inspired by her father. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how cool she thinks that
I'm
is.
trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, Patrick.
I appreciate it. Thank you. But I can. No, you'll find this out in 16 years or so.
Yeah, we'll see, I guess. I'm already afraid. So what was your first job out of law school? Or actually before that even, let's talk a little bit about the law school experience, because I think that's something that oftentimes gets overlooked when thinking about your next career and the end point. Everyone just wants to look at, oh, hey, this is the final destination, but it's sometimes, and it's lost on so many people, just the process and just what it took to get to even that finish line. So tell us a little bit about your experiences at OU.
Like I said, I wasn't a poli-sci or like history major or something in undergrad. I didn't go to college knowing that that's what I wanted to do. I was a psychology major in undergrad, and that was one of the things that was on my little aptitude test. So I got through that, and by my senior year, I kind of knew I didn't want to be a psychologist. So I started taking some more business classes and took the GRE. I was like, I don't want to necessarily go into business. And so then my dad circled around and was like, what about the law?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I can do that. So took the LSAT. That's the first, kind of step after college is taking the LSAT exam, and then got that back and started looking around at schools, figuring out where I wanted to go, and applied to OU just because I did my undergrad out in California and knew I wanted to kind of come back to this part of the country, and figured that I'd want to go to a school where, there's a good alumni base and where someday I may need to find a job and I may have an alumni connection, and then that would go from there. So
I guess that's the trade-off from deciding to move from California to Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, that was an adjustment for sure.
Yeah,
and that's what got me down to Dallas. I think pretty quick was Norman is lovely.
Yes.
I go back for plenty of football games.
Some of the nicest people, actually, that I've ever had the experience of being around.
Yeah. It's a beautiful campus, too.
Yeah.
The Cherokee Gothic, I guess, architecture It's really, really pretty. So applied to OU, went to OU, and then first year was just kind of being on lockdown. Everything is your class rank and your GPA are kind of set out based on how you do that first year, as you know. So I really kind of buckled down. I didn't really leave my apartment that first year, and just studied the whole time and tried to do as best as I could.
No, and obviously, just having that education is so evident, and just even seeing your attention to detail in your everyday work, I can definitely see that as your personality, and it really has transitioned you to be very successful in what you do. How important do you think your personality is to your successes in the legal field?
I mean, it's learned. I mean, it's not you're trained to be a lawyer. Some people are born into it that just love arguing, and those are the litigators. The people that,
these litigators, man,
There's a much better quality of life if you don't do that.
I mean, you've done the litigation, and you're really good at that too. But
that's what I did. So I was a practicing attorney before I came here, and still am. But I mean, working for law firms and representing clients. I think one of the reasons law school is kind of so difficult is it's kind of that crucible approach of breaking you down and kind of reforming you and teaching you how to think. Yeah. And so it shows you how to approach a problem, and it helps if you've got a analytic kind of approach to how you do things. But as far as just natural personality goes, I got a lot more. We're talking about this I think yesterday, a lot more risk averse. It's before I was I'll do whatever, doesn't matter. But now in law, especially in litigation, you've got someone on the other side that's trying to undercut whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah. And so you got to be very, get all your ducks in a row and be very kind of cautious about how you share information and, what risks you take and what risks you don't take. So
you go through law school, and how is the bar exam? Because that in itself is a whole nother monster, right?
Yep. That's, and that's you're kind of prepared for it in just the way that law school grades happen. You've got one exam at the end of the semester. There's no, participation grades. There's no, tests as things go along. You've got one test, and that decides how you do that semester in that class. And same thing with the bar exam. You got one test, and you pass or you don't. And I think that's intentional, because eventually when you're going to trial, you've got one trial. You've got to be prepared and ready to go. So wasn't fun, but at the same time, you prepare for it, and I spent a little more time coming down from another state, focusing on the Texas state essays as opposed to the multi-state. So that was what I tried to absorb the most of when I was getting ready was all the Texas state specific materials.
I think one really big selling point for me when I went to OU, or why I chose OU as well, was they had a higher bar pass rate in Texas than they did in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow, really?
And I was just like, what? Okay.
So it's 'cause everyone goes to Texas.
Yeah. So, and they really sold us on, hey, a lot of, you're going to have a really good network whenever you go back to Dallas. So I was just sign me up, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of Sooners down here.
So you passed the bar exam, and now you're in the real world.
Right?
So tell us a little bit about your first job after graduating and becoming a licensed attorney. And specifically, were there any experiences, legal or not even, that really shaped how you even work today?
One thing I wish I would have done better was coming out of school was networking and kind of laying the foundation and doing some internships and meeting people and kind of cultivating, job opportunities. Which is just a general thing even now on how important networking is. But I came down and got a job with a small firm here in Dallas, and was doing basically personal bankruptcy filings.
Oh, wow.
And but they were a small, just civil litigation firm, and did some corporate transactional stuff as well. Just really just a general practice firm. And after in 2005, the bankruptcy law changed. They introduced like the means test, made it a lot kind of more difficult for people to get a bankruptcy, qualify for relief.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of tanked the bankruptcy filings. And so I had to find other stuff to do, and just really anything and everything that came through the door was kind of shoved onto my desk, and I had to kind of figure it out and go.
Wow.
So it was a great. I love the people that work there. They were wonderful, and really gave me opportunities to do what. I mean, they wanted me to bill, obviously. But, so there's that. But it gave me a chance to kind of do anything I was interested in. So.
And you're mentioning like 2003, 2005. This was really obviously well before AI, and we'll get into AI in a second. Okay. That's a whole different like fun topic, right? But how did you do your research then compared to how you do your stuff now?
It was all internet based.
You didn't have to pull up a library or a book at a library.
So I was right. So I went to law school from 99 to 02.
Yeah.
And that was right kind of around the time when like the online Westlaw stuff was really kind of coming around. We still, for legal research and writing in school, we still would go and, look up case law in books and whatnot. And then that first firm I worked at actually had a law library with all the, West Digest and all this stuff. And so if I needed a case, I'd go into the, but by that time, mid 2000s, it was already on the internet. So, the partners still went in and were looking in books, but I was pretty much on the internet.
Okay. So your Westlaws of the world and such.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, so that was mainly, and it was a lot of just bankruptcy specifically. It's, there's the bankruptcy code, and it's, people would come in and meet with clients. We'd kind of figure out what their situation was. We'd draft their petition for relief, file it, and go meet with the bankruptcy trustees. And it was kind of more of a transactional. It wasn't really a lot of contested hearings, but, it was, that was daily life starting out as a baby lawyer.
How long did you do that for?
So I was at that first firm for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
I think 7, 8 years maybe. And so bankruptcy was kind of the first part. And then just really anything that came through the door, general civil litigation, some, corporate entity formation. And then one of the reasons I kind of started looking for something else, we started doing a lot more family law.
Oof,
which
was
was
rough.
Yeah, it was not. That's not what I like to do.
I hated that the most too.
A lot of people making emotional decisions.
Yes,
and so you're fighting over stuff that it's you're fighting over a silverware set. And it's like, come on, you build 10 hours of motions and all this stuff for this one thing. And what are we doing? During a family law case, there was like a dad and mom that were in a custody dispute, and the dad was like, why don't you need to come talk to the kids? And his lawyer was on board with it. He's like, yeah, you need to go talk to the kids. And so I was like, okay, this is weird. I've never done this. Like, you don't need to convince me, but whatever, I'll go talk to them. And they just sat there like kind of little robots, just kind of parroting out this stuff that they'd been fed.
Alienation at its finest.
Yeah, they'd been given a script basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just, I need to go. I met with them for like 10 minutes. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And so they kind of answered it, and I was like, okay, well, is there anything else you want to tell me? And they said, yes, I need to tell you that no one told us to say this. We're saying this of our own, volition or something. And I was like, all right, you're 10. You don't even know what that word is.
Yeah.
So that was one family law case. I was like, I don't want to do this.
So 7 years out there, and you didn't want to do family law.
That's right.
Where does Patrick go from there?
So from there, I went more to a firm. We were basically outside in-house counsel for churches and nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
And so it was basically
That's almost like a 180. Like,
yeah, it was a very niche thing. It's not something I ever thought I'd do or ever thought about doing. But it was a chance to do kind of transition more into transactional work. We did a lot of entity formation, a lot of IRS filings, a lot of just kind of corporate governance, bylaw drafting, stuff like that. We did have some litigation. And I got involved in a lot of construction disputes, a lot of building churches and contractors go sideways and that. But I was there for another probably 7 years.
oh goodness,
For my son, my 14-year-old
I
son.
can't take you seriously.
It was a
It's
great
one thing
job.
coming from your son, but
No
from
cap.
a middle-aged white man, like, that's good. Like,
Yeah. We'll get my next video of all the slang.
yeah. What were some of the, I guess, early experiences that you were able to take with you from your first job into this next job, and honestly into what you do today?
Especially in a litigation context, a lot of the clients, in the first firm were just kind of, they weren't, we had corporate clients, but a lot of them were just regular folks that had a legal issue. And then in the church firm, a lot of, churches are nonprofits, they don't, some of them have just a ton of money. Some of them didn't. They were smaller churches, but an appreciation for just how expensive and time consuming and difficult the litigation process can be. And how it's if, I don't know what the number is, like 90% of cases settle without actually ever going to trial. And you don't, like when I first came out of law school, I didn't realize it was that high or that low of a number of cases that actually went to trial. And so, if you've got a case and you want to litigate it, you've kind of got to manage client expectations and make sure they're educated in what they're getting themselves into. Because it's a very expensive and time consuming process. And from a business standpoint, especially if you want to focus on, making money, running your business, litigating is going to be a big drain on that. And sometimes you have to, sometimes it's unavoidable. And if you need to do it, then great. But just understand that it's going to be super expensive and take a lot of your resources just from a time standpoint.
Time, effort, energy, money, all the above. Not a fan, but you're right. I mean, every now and then there are unfortunate times where it's not a choice and you have to protect your rights, you have to protect yourself, and you have to defend yourself even at times. And in those instances, it's a necessary evil, I guess you could say. So we love our litigators and our of counsels.
100%.
Was there a moment in your career that you would say really changed your approach to how you see things and how you work?
I was around a lot of good lawyers. Just at every firm I went to, there were really some really talented folks and really smart people, and just kind of seeing how they handled themselves and we talked about attention to detail, how they prepared for cases and thought about things, and that's something too that just. You kind of figure out like what is involved in preparing a case or preparing a document or a deal or whatever it is, just the amount of work and the kind of the due diligence you have to do, and the responsibility you have for your client too is to make sure that you take that seriously and make sure that they're protected and taken care of.
Obviously, you came and joined the XO Pro family a little over 3 years ago. What was that transition like for you, moving from more of the law firm setting to an in-house setting for a company? And do you regret it yet?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is, kind of like I said, this is what my dad did. I'm kind of doing the job that my dad did. I'm like, all right, I've
like
made
a full
it.
circle.
Yeah. No, it is an adjustment. It's a different environment for sure from working in a law firm. There are definite advantages. Not having to bill hours anymore.
True.
That's something that's a big kind of, you can keep track of your time. That's no big deal, but just not having to think about it and make sure I'm getting my hours that month. And, I'm still able to stay busy, still able to stay productive. It's not every 0.6 hours or point 1 hours every 6 minutes.
0.06, I think, is the minimum. Like,
yep, exactly. Yeah. Making sure whatever I spend time on, did I bill the right time, and is it worth billing for that? So that's a definite advantage. It's a different environment because it's, you're used to being around just a bunch of lawyers and we're all kind of doing the same thing. And there's a structure of a law office that this office obviously has structure, but it's very different, than a law firm. So I'm just a part of a legal team as opposed to, just being everyone's doing the same thing, which is kind of an adjustment.
What has been the biggest challenge, transitioning for you, if any?
I've always kind of felt like this is something that I wanted to do, and it was really, I think it probably is a good fit for my skill set. So, just kind of learning the business. I didn't. There's definitely a learning curve for the staffing industry, and that's something that
staffing. Oof.
Yeah. It's its own. Speaking of niche, it's its own little thing. So that's not an area I ever had any experience in.
And obviously, XL Pro, a little humble brag. We do things very differently than our competitors. We're very compliance driven, and obviously, I think that's music to any attorney's ears, right?
100%.
Unfortunately, not a lot of our competitors do that and pay as much of attention, I guess, to that piece of the business. Did you even know what a staffing agency was or did when you started with us?
Yeah, I conceptually knew that we'd find jobs for people.
Yeah, but that's about it, right?
That's about all. Yeah. And how it works, and like the temp to hire stuff as opposed to just like a permanent, like a recruiter. Learning the ins and outs of that took a little time to kind of figure out.
So, what was the biggest thing you learned about our industry when you were within that first 6 months or so?
Let's see. There are a bunch of different, kind of facets to staffing. It's a pretty, just making sure I was keeping track with all the things I needed to know from just like a compliance standpoint. That was a bit of a challenge, and that's one of the things that, attracted me to XL Pro is just the way that we do make sure that we do things the right way. And just kind of even getting back to that, how expensive litigation is if you can plan in advance, and sometimes it's unavoidable, but for the most part, if you're organized, you get your ducks in a row, you're going to be much better situated and avoid a lot of that litigation. And just the way that XL Pro kind of approaches the staffing, which is a lot of different kind of pitfalls you can get into to make sure that those are avoided was real attractive. So.
You had mentioned earlier the unfortunate case where you were force-fed a lot of information from those children, right? And that's part of why you don't like family law. Do you think that's the craziest or the worst case you've ever been a part of, or is there another?
Yeah, that was not good. Working for churches was interesting, just because you kind of see how the sausage is made, and it's when you kind of see behind the scenes, some stuff's like, oh, that's not, not
really godlike. Right. Yeah.
Some of our clients, not all of them, but some of them were just kind of non-denominational Bible churches, and so it was just started by somebody that kind of felt called to do that, which, wonderful for them. But a lot of times if you're not in, you don't come up through like a seminary education, you don't have like an established faith like Catholicism or Episcopal, where there's a little more structure. You've got all these people coming in to listen to you speak, and they start donating all this money, and it's like, wow, all these people are here for me, and you kind of lose track of kind of why you're there and what you're supposed to be doing. So people are fallible, and no one is certainly perfect.
No.
But seeing some of how that kind of power and money and influence can impact people in a pretty negative way when they're supposed to be, a trusted religious leader is tough. Yeah.
It kind of, I guess, desensitizes you to religion in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it as like a business as opposed to, higher calling and ultimately helping people and loving people.
So how did you think that affected you? And did that make you question kind of why you became a lawyer in the first place?
Kind of like we talked about before, is like the importance of being organized and preparing for stuff in advance. For a lot of those church clients, we developed bylaws and kind of organizational checks and balances to avoid getting into situations like that. You have a board of directors and you give them, authority over certain things and it's so you, in anything in life, you can get into a situation where you're out of control or getting into trouble. And so if you have like those guardrails in place, if you have the proper, compliance, structure set up, you can avoid a lot of that.
So how would you define success in your career or for yourself?
Just this is less, I guess less law and less job, but like being a good dad and being there for the people that count on me and trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Career wise, I mean, it's helping people. Again, one thing again I kind of liked about XL Pro is that we're putting people to work and we're able to make their lives better, and we're not making weapons.
True. That helps for sure.
It's
sleep a little bit better at night.
Yeah. We're ultimately putting people to work and training people on how to improve their lives. So that's a good feeling to kind of help facilitate that. I think that's success. You want to give me a quote, or I wanted to give you a quote that is passed down to men in my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's in my office. I'm not going to remember exactly what it says, but it's something that I got when I graduated college. My mom gave it to me, and then her dad, and then his dad. They kind of all been passed down to like various things, but it's basically to live honestly and kindly, to love the world and people in it, to do the work that comes to your hand as best as you can do it. Therein lies true success.
Wow.
And so that's kind of
that's deep,
a little mantra kind of thing. So I'll give that to Kate when she graduates, and give that to Thomas when he graduates. So
that's awesome. It's a good set of lessons to live by. Mm-hmm. Obviously, people make mistakes. There's coaching moments. There's all the above, right? Can you talk a little bit about a time where others would consider a failure that you looked at as a coaching moment or a learning experience, and how you improved from it? It's a hard one. I know you're really good at what you do.
I've never failed at anything.
I've never made a mistake ever.
I make mistakes all the time. I don't know if this is exactly answering the question, but one thing that I learned in my first job was basically, everything is fixable to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. So if there's something that doesn't go right, or that doesn't, this hearing doesn't go well, or it's not the end of the world. You'll be able to remedy this somehow. And so I guess in maybe just as a broader context of if a mistake, mistakes happen, mistakes happen all the time. Everybody's human. Mistakes are going to happen no matter what you do. And just, learn from those mistakes. And then understand that there's always going to be a way to address it. And most problems have answers. You just got to put the time in to think about it and figure out what the solution is.
Don't hide from it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Looking back now, what's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self or just anyone in general, I guess, trying to figure out their next career path?
I mean, don't give up. Keep working. It's all going to work out. I know it's kind of vague in general, but one thing, I have talked to my dad a lot about just career path and where you're going, and one thing he always said to me is that he didn't have some big career path like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go here. And I know what that looks like ahead of time. Some people do, and if you've got that, then that's great. But if you don't, most people just go from one opportunity to the next, and you don't really have that career path until you're looking in the rearview mirror and you see where you've been. You're like, oh, so that's how I got from here to here and here and here, and got to where you need to be. So, keep working, keep grinding.
Yeah.
And it's all gonna work out.
Yeah. And I guess one really big thing that you mentioned on that one that I agree with as well is you never know when your next opportunity is going to come. So I guess just be willing to take on that challenge when that challenge presents itself.
100%.
And thank you again so much for joining us today. It was such a good time learning about your career a little bit and just where you came from, and looking forward to possibly having you on again soon.
Absolutely. It was fun. Enjoyed doing it, and I'll be back. Whatever the next topic is.
We'll have a good conversation about, I guess,
Pandas,
Star Wars, Star Trek, all the above.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. Pandas in space. That is my. That's the name of the podcast.
Pandas in space. All right, I love it. Thank you, everybody. Yay.